welcome to FarmRPG. Belogan here. It's November, towards the end of November, and we have had a lot of updates that I have not kept up on during my video analysis of FarmRPG. So I'm going to do just one video talking about the major changes that have occurred in November and how these have drastically changed the way I play FarmRPG. And when I mean drastic, I mean it's completely changed what I do daily. I'm going to do these in order of how much they've kind of impacted my play style. In a sense, mostly, and the very last one just because it logically fits there. So first of all, one of the first big things that we've added, if you come to town and your country store, there is a new crop. It is mushroom spores. These take 90 minutes to grow without perks, and each spore will grow 10 mushrooms. This is really useful when you're doing a lot of crafting of rings and other things that have had mushroom paste added as a ingredient in the recipes. It'll keep you from spending a drastic amount of time out in the forest looking for mushrooms just to make mushroom paste for crafting your rings and other things like that now use it. There have been a few new items that have been added that also use mushroom paste in their recipes that are decent for crafting. They still do not outperform nets on Large Island, but they're a good supplement when you're exploring otherwise and find things. Well, you might still want to be running around in the forest to get antlers, but there's a new way to get antlers as well, and that is through the raptor pen. So raptors work a lot like cows and chickens in that you pet them and they level up and they bring more resources depending on their level daily. The way you find these is by exploring in Whispering Creek. And a very rare item now is the Raptor Egg. This is supposedly the most rare exploring item in the game, which tells me its drop rate is probably somewhere around 1 in 100,000. We don't know for sure. Some players seem to find tons of these without doing hardly any exploring. Others, massive amounts without finding very many. I've got 4 eggs that I've found. So when you find eggs, they show up in your Raptor pen automatically. And then you can pet these. When they hit level 5, they hatch into raptors, and a raptor will bring 10 antlers and 5 steak kebabs per day times its level. So at level 5, that is 50 antlers per day. So off these 3 raptors, I'm already getting 150 antlers per day without even exploring. So if you find enough of these, eventually you're going to hit your inventory cap with antlers without having to do any exploring in the forest to find them. And then it's just up to your hayfield to generate enough straw to turn all of those into nets. This raptor egg is going to hatch. Let's go ahead and incubate them. We'll say okay. And he came out as a striped green color. So there are 7 different colors. These 2 are that I've got here. Number 2, number 4 are the kind of pattern ones. The rest of them are all solid colors, grays and greens. But here they are. So those are raptors. All right. Next thing, and this one is absolutely massive, is crafting efficiency. Now, this works a lot like exploring efficiency in that you go into an item and you tell it how many of those you want to craft at a time. Now, in order to do that, to turn on crafting efficiency, you have to have an item mastered. That means you have to have made 10,000 of them, and then you can turn on crafting efficiency. Crafting efficiency, if we'll come in the fishing nets here. The way you do this is from the item, it'll tell you how many of them you have, and then you pay a fee to upgrade these. So to get to do 5 at once, you're paying 100 million silver, and then 1 billion to do 6 at once. And then there is a farm supply perk called crafting gloves for 100 gold that doubles that, much like sprinting shoes. So I've got 10 fishing nets every time I want to do these. So now when I want to do fishing nets, I just click on these a couple times, and we've got a ton of people doing Thanksgiving quests, so we're lagging a little bit. So I did all 9. So now I don't have enough my times 10 multipliers off. I don't have enough antlers. If I click on this, it'll turn it off, and then it'll let me do these one at a time. So for your favorite items, you can do this until you hit the limit. If it's not one of your marked favorite items, once you get below the limit that you need for your crafting efficiency, it actually disappears from the list because you don't have enough resources for it. So if you want to get an exact number, say I was going to do, let's find something here, fancy pipes, and I wanted to make sure I used up all of my wood, I'd want to turn this off, make 6 of these, and then I could turn it back on. Actually 16 of them to get an even number of 20 that I need. So 16, so that'd make 8 pipes. Let's get that down to 580, make that a multiple of 20. Resource saver's kicking in a lot. All right, there we go. Now I can turn this on. Now I could come and do this all the way down to have 0 wood. Otherwise, it disappears from the list. You might still have wood left over. This makes crafting things that use a lot of very, very quick. You no longer need to just throw them into the auto crafter and let it churn out slowly. So then you hit the issue of, well, what is the auto crafter good for then at this point if I can just craft everything manually so fast? And the answer to that is apple cider. So apple cider you can craft. It takes 100 apples and 1 orange. So an apple cost is expensive. Whenever you're making apple cider, you are absolutely losing out on potential revenue that you could be using to explore, to find antlers for making nets or other things for crafting. I've got a lot of apple cider, you notice here. But what happens with apple cider is you come into your auto crafter and you can use it once you select something to do, like all my fancy pipes, for example. I'll hit go. Now, if I didn't have this mastered, I'd have to click 290 times or wait a little while to get it done. But I can just click on it once, drink an apple cider, and boom, it is done. A little bit of lag today on the servers again. All right, so all those fancy pipes, they're all crafted. So when we're trying to master things especially, this is really helpful. So you fill up your inventory to max of crafting something, come in here, drink an apple cider, and boom, you can pop all of them out. How many that is depends on the number of resources those items take and what your inventory limit is. The other thing with apple cider, generally I don't use the apples I'm growing in my orchard for this, but when I am exploring looking for those raptor eggs in Whispering Creek, we'll pull that up here. It drops a lot of apples and it drops some oranges and it drops some lemons. So I will take a lot of these apples that I'm dropping just because it can take a lot of time to keep exploring and redrinking all your apples. And I will turn those into apple cider. I've also picked up a lot of apple cider from the November Thanksgiving quests that are open at the moment. But those two things have drastically changed the way I play. I can get a lot of my exploring done faster. I can get my crafting done drastically faster for everything I do. And it just leaves me with a lot more time to do things I'd like to do. So I really appreciate those updates. They've been great for the game. They are not only time savers, but the intent of those is also to help reduce server load. Less clicks, queries from players, in theory means less load on the servers, which means we can handle more players and grow more effectively without having to have more server upgrades and other drastic things that Firestream would have to deal with. It's a pain in the butt. All right, that's a lot of material crammed in to the November updates that have, as I mentioned, drastically changed the way that we play this game, especially once you're later in the game. They are much appreciated. They're a lot of fun. As always, thanks for watching.